We have 4. Might as well just go live. Start streaming. I'm gonna click it. Right, meow. Cool. We should be live. I'll wait till I get the notification that our event is starting. Cool. We are now live, and let me test the scene swapping. What's up, everyone? Thank you for joining me in this live stream today. It's been a minute. I've been pretty swamped. I've been traveling all over the world, filming for different companies, and just kind of being swamped. And what I wanted to do today is kind of give you an insight of what I was going to create for you. As you know, I've made a video on this a couple months ago of creating the ultimate preset pack, and I've been wanting to do this for a long time because most of you know me from tutorials and creating these presets. So today I am going to be working on it, and you can follow along and kind of learn how I create these presets. So I thought it would be best just to go live, and let me know if the audio is good. I'm using a lavalier with some headphones, and I'm using my GH5 up there on the webcam. So we're gonna get this started. Hit me up in the live chat on what you want to see, because I have a Google Doc that I will be referring to quite a bit today, and I'll kind of give you a little insight on what I am creating. What's up, everyone? Nick, Shirley, Yo-Yo, Jesus, Clemente, Vamos, how's it going? Studio R says, what's good, Kyler? I've been good. Like I said, I've been super busy, but I just want to give you a quick update on what is working. So let me swap to this cam. As you can see, the new way of, let me hide this real quick. The new way of working within Premiere is this way of drag and drop, and that's kind of where I want to get my effects packs to, because the easier they are, the better it is. For a long story short, for exposure, if you wanted a medium light exposure that was a ramp with a high intensity, I can just drag and drop that onto my clips, and as you see, playback instantly, it has what I want and it does what I want. So this is kind of the style of the effects pack that I'm working on. Currently, I'm working on the glitch pack because I want to get about like 2 or 3 of these versions for the launch day, and I'll probably offer it for about like maybe 20 bucks or so, because this pack is going to be designed as a creator contributor type style pack. So like, I want it to be collaborative, so whatever you want, I will add into the pack. So if you purchase the pack and you say, hey dude, I really like your mosaic transitions, is there a way that you can create more of these? And I'll be like, yes. So these are currently like what I'm working on, and I want it to be drag and drop so that if you are in a creative rut, you can just drag these onto your timeline, and it'll have an audio file attached to it as well, and etc. So today I'm going to be taking your input on what you want and what you don't want in this pack. The goal is to get probably close to 500 or so transitions or effects within this pack before I launch it. And now, I've been talking about launching this forever, but I want it to be perfect. Like, I don't want this to be another pack that you just purchased, because if you're going to be spending $20, which I think is quite a bit of money on this pack, I want it to be awesome. And here's the thing, like, once I launch it, probably at 20, whatever I decide, dollars, every time I create an update, the price might increase a little bit. So this is why I want the initial launch day to be perfect. So we're just going to go from there. But this is kind of what I'm working on. And if you have any ideas, I'm currently working on the glitch portion of it. So if you have any ideas, I will add that to my Google Docs. But let me hit up the chat real quick and see what everyone's saying. What's up, everyone? Random question. What's the best time for you to edit? For how long can you be? Any time is the best time to edit, honestly. It kind of depends on what you are working. I find that working at night works best for me. Krifala said one of my presets isn't working for me. Email me. Most of them are designed in the older versions of Premiere. I just have to update them with the new version of Premiere. What's up, everyone? Good morning. Your tutorials are helpful. That's awesome. Your cinematic black bar is not working properly. So that's probably just because it was designed in 2018 and I haven't got around to updating it to 2019. I'll definitely get on that. But the easy way is just to create your mats and then apply some crops to them, and then you can pretty much mimic the effect. But let's get started in today, and right now I'm working on some offsets. So what I'm doing is creating these offset effects where they're like this, where it offsets the video as well as attaching audio to it. So I'll kind of go over the process of how I'm creating these. I'm going to go into offset 3 right, and I'm going to duplicate this because I need a left version. So I'm going to make a left, and then I'm going to double click, go into that sequence, and then I'm just going to kind of right click and ungroup this. I won't go over the whole process of how I'm making these. I've already done a tutorial on that in the past, but let's switch up the scene and go from here. So what I typically do is delete everything, and then first thing I'll rename my adjustment layer to the left, and then I'm going to go into the effects controls and start manipulating this guy. So obviously I just copied the right one, and you can see it's moving to the right, so I'm going to want all this to move to the left, and my starting values are like 960, which is the original, but I want this to be negative, so let's do like negative 1000 on that guy, and then go back to this keyframe down here and go to probably negative 500, and I'm going to drag these around a little bit more and see what that's starting to do. As we see, we're starting to scroll through here, and it looks like it's starting to go crazy, but it's not going to where I want it. So that's because there's another offset right here. So I'm going to actually delete that offset. And as you see, we're starting to go to the left. I'm going to add a keyframe right here to create a little bezier, and then I'm going to make it go to negative 2000. So it's kind of like a little fast. Cool, so it goes a little fast, and then also we have to manipulate the ending half of these because these ending keyframes are still on my right version. So I'm going to make sure these are dragged to the left. So let's do negative 3000. And then what I want to do is try to match this up as best as I can. That looks good. And then we're also going to drag this one to negative 1000 or negative 100 and see, and then start to drag this to the left and match it up as best as possible. And then we're going to drag this to the end and see what we're working with. I'm going to mute the audio for the time being. Cool. So we had a little bounce effect at the ending, which is kind of cool. Like we push out and then come back in. So I like where that's looking. I can also adjust the emboss is what I have going on right here. So maybe I'll come here and change the relief to 25 and then change the contrast to maybe 200. Cool. So once I get something that I like, I'll cut in the center, and then I'll start working on the audio to make the audio match best as possible. Going to look, that's a good price if we're talking about 500 transitions. Thank you, Ali. I'm definitely going to be working on it. I'm still working on a price because I try to offer as much as possible for free, because I understand that some people can't afford these giant packs, but this has been something I've been working on for months. So I'll definitely offer like a free version of this pack that you can download and sample and test before you buy, which would probably include like 1 or 2 transitions from each of the packs. But the goal is to make this thing massive, and I want to be updating this monthly. This is going to be what I spend most of my time in, and this could be like a great addition to if you were in a creative rut. So we're gonna move on from here, and yeah, we're gonna start working on the audio and listen to what I see. Okay, so there's a little stutter effect, so I'm gonna zoom in here and start manipulating this audio a little bit. I heard a little stutter, so I'm gonna drag this around. All right, cool, I like that. I like that. So the audio is just kind of like a little addition. So once I'm done with this, I'll shift click everything, right click, and group those. So that is the offset. So now when I am on my clips and I'm working in my project, I can simply drag my newly created effects onto my transition, and just like that. Cool. So that's what the offset looks like. So real quick, I kind of want some feedback on what you want, because currently I have all of the exposures done, kind of like my exposure transition. I'm working on the glitch, and I'm messing around with something in the color area, but the glitch pack is kind of going to be my main launch. Right now I have the mosaic effects, which I just showed you in the beginning, and I have the offset. I'm also going to be adding, let me see, another bin, and this one's going to be magnify effects, and that's kind of like my one tutorial I did a while ago, the magnifying glitch effect using mask and zooming in and glitching them around. Maybe I'll add another one and call this grid glitch effects, because I know there's some that use like the grid, like the dots and everything. I've done something on that in the past. So let me know real quick if you have in the chat some glitches or transition styles that you know of, and I'll add those in. So I got color magnify grid effects, and then I'm going to be reading your comments. Landon Davis, what's up? The Buckathon video is done. I completed it. I sent it to them and they loved it. So we're going to kind of wait for them to decide when they want to launch it. I know they're showing the higher ups on Thursday, so we'll see. Thank you. Your tutorials are helpful. I really appreciate that. Cool. This should work in all versions of Premiere. I'm currently designing it in Premiere Pro 2019, but as soon as I figure out how to make it compatible with those earlier versions, I may do that. But even if it's not compatible, I'll let you guys know for sure, because I know there's ways to work on that. So it's something I'm going to be doing on. Mini LUTs in CC versions are not going to work on CS6. That's why they use CC 2017. Yeah, exactly. So a lot of this stuff from the previous versions of Premiere won't work in the newer versions. So yeah, I'm going to actually wait till I get some of your comments. Again, please let me know what you want in this effects pack, and I'm going to start working on some of my magnify effects. First things first, I'm going to label these as, what is it, lavender? Nope. What's the blue? Curiolin? Nope. I need to learn. I wish they had like the colors right here, because then it would be so much easier. Not teal. Not blue. Oh my goodness. Am I going to go through all of these? Iris. There we go. Iris. So let's go into one of my mosaics. So then I can just copy this. I can right click and duplicate. And I'm just going to drag that into magnify. And then I'm going to name this magnify 1. So I can double click onto this. And as you can see, it has my mosaic effect on it currently. So what I'm going to do is delete the audio track, so I don't need that. And then I'm going to simply delete all of the effects that I have on here for the mosaic. Man, my nose is itchy today. So again, please let me know in the chat if you're in here watching, because I really would appreciate some feedback, and that's kind of like why I'm going live. Otherwise, I'll just close the live stream and work on this on my own. So first things first, I'm going to rename this to magnify. Ooh, forgot the M. Magnify 1. And then I'm going to come in here and start to look at my effects that I want to do. Transform. I think that's how I did the magnify effect. I transformed it. Yeah, I just added. I actually think there's a magnify effect. Yeah, there's a magnify effect. And on here, we can do squares. Yeah, I like this. So we have the magnify effect, and we can change the center like this, and then we can change our magnification. I think that 150 is pretty standard. And you can also change the size of your magnification. So we're going to start by dragging the first one up at the top left, and we're going to start keyframing this magnification. So I'm going to right click and go to hold, so that every time I make an adjustment, it will hold that position till it goes to the next frame. So for example, if I right click on this guy, as you can see, it's linear. So right now it's just scaling up. But if I right click on that first one and go to hold, it's going to hold that keyframe until the next one hits. So I'm going to magnify, boom. And then right after that magnifies up, I'm going to make another magnification. So I'm going to go to this guy, make him 200%. And I'm also going to make it bigger. Let's see. And all right, what is going on? Why am I not getting that magnification? Oh, that's because I'm not over yet. So yeah, there we go. I'm gonna go to this hold. Or yeah, I can't do hold because I won't be able to see it. All right, let's make this up here, and let's go to scaling. See what that does. Scatter, soft, standard, and let's increase this up to here. That looks good. A big one. So we'll hold. So as you can see, we have the two magnifying, boom, boom, right there. And then also, I'm going to want one more magnification. So I'm going to copy that layer, drag the magnification down like this, and let's change the scale down to the bottom left. And the cool thing is these magnifications work over each other. And what I'm gonna do next is then go into each magnification and add some mask so that I can custom the magnification and just decide what it looks like. So now we have the beginning portion. You can see we have 2 magnifications and a mask. These magnifications work best on not a lot of keyframes, so I'm actually going to shorten this entire effect, 1, 2, to probably about, I think that was 10 keyframes in each direction. So I'm going to open these up and drag these to the right, because this is going to be my starting point. Awesome, got that one, and then the final one we're going to drag to the right as well. Good. So now I can drag my start to the keyframe right there, and then 1, 2, 3, 4. So this is kind of what my effect is looking like. Awesome, so it's really fast. I'm going to make sure these happen a little bit quicker. That looks good. And then this one actually needs to happen a little bit faster. Good, and then what I need them to do is go back to 100, so they kind of fade out, I guess you could say. And this is where the fun stuff happens. Like you can either have these, like as you can see, this one in the middle, it can scale down, so you can kind of do a lot if you want, or you can just make it do whatever you want. Like we can jump it down to 25, and then we can jump it down to 100. And these effects, the reason why I want to sell this is because they take quite a bit of time to make. As you can see, like this takes a little bit of time to make. So this one that's scaling down, I actually want to speed ramp that because I don't like how slow it is. So what I'll do is ease out and then ease in, and then I'm going to go into my magnification properties, and there should give me some tools to speed ramp this. So I'm going to pull that to the right, and then I'm going to swoop that like that. So now it looks like this. Nice, that looks awesome. So let me read some comments. Can you share your thoughts on the specs for Adobe Premiere? High-end graphics card, more cores, better rendering. Yeah, that could be a video that I do sometime. The goal is, like, I built this insane PC, and you can watch my video on my channel. It's like a custom PC build or something like that. And you can look at the parts that I bought in there. Colton said, but the goal is to, like, have at least 32 gigs of RAM. That's what I use. I have an Intel i7 7700K or something like that. You'll have to look at that video and see what I'm doing. But there's a lot that you can put into it. What are you doing? I saw your Ultimate Effects pack and I knew I had to check it out. Colton, I'm working on creating that currently. Right now I'm on the magnify portion, and I'm kind of wanting your feedback on what you want. And then I'll add it to this Google Doc right here to get more ideas, because this is taking me a long time to work on. So I know that I appreciate your feedback, because I want this effects pack to be community based on what you want. So Ganesh says another question. It's just I'll answer as questions as possible, but right now I'm just kind of working on these little magnify stuff. So in here, I'm liking where this is going. That's kind of like a little quick magnify. So what I'm gonna do now is kind of 1, 2. Drop that in there like that. Wait, I need to make sure these endings are the same time. 1, 2. Ooh, they're not. 1, 2. Okay, so I have to drag these ending keyframes to there so I know that all of these are the same time. Good. All right, so that's good like that. And then when I'm done, I make a cut, and then this is when I start to try to figure out what kind of audio would sound good. And I'm currently adding a couple audio. Let me view hidden. So I have a couple audio tracks that I've made and I'm working with. Typically I just cut these up however I feel the fit would be. And then let's try that. Cut that guy right there. Nope, don't like that. Cut that up. Let's see what that looks like. I like that. Oh, and then go back to the cam. Cool. So once I get something that I like, I can just highlight all of the stuff that I just did, right click and go to group, and then I can go back to my glitch folder and then go into my magnify. And now that I know that magnify 1 is done, I can duplicate that layer and then rename this magnify 2. Oh, not 12. So I'll probably make 10 magnify effects in here. And then this is kind of the process that I go through to create these massive effects packs. So yeah, so I'll read some of your comments. Kerfala says, wedding transitions is a great idea, almost forgotten. So that's actually something to add into the folder. Maybe not wedding transitions, but there's something that I want to also create. So for example, like 3 would be overlays. Because I know there's like a ton of different categories of overlays. Oh my goodness, I can't type today. Overlay. So this includes like light leaks, like glitched, corrupt footage, dust, stuff like that. So that's definitely something to continue adding. Omar says, any creative ideas for YouTube million subscriber special editing? I wonder if you mean like when I get 1 million subscribers. Maybe, but I don't know if I'm gonna get 1 million subscribers anytime soon. YouTube's been slowing down a little bit. I'm kind of stuck around 150,000 ish right now, but for me, it's not about the number. I just like making videos. So yeah, we'll see where that goes. And then Colton says, I love using motion transitions. I whip, slide, down, spin. So seeing your take on those would be sweet. Let me see. So like motion, that could be like another pack or another addition. Money sign motion. So this could be like transform. Yeah, this could be like the transform packs, like zoom, spin, kind of like those ones that I created earlier, slide, whip, pan, etc. So that could kind of like be a whole category. And this is the goal. Like I know in the first launch, I'm kind of working on the glitch pack and the exposure. So that would be like the first launch, and then like the next month I'll typically make a video a month on what I updated the pack, and then I'll just make a new video. For example, that next video might have all of the motion transitions, because this takes me a while to work on. So that's why if you buy it early, then you will have it for life at that price, and then as the pack gets bigger and bigger, naturally I'll have to charge more for it. So I think that's a really exciting thing to see what you want, and then if you want more of something, I can always add to the pack on my free time. So yeah, and then also Colton also said, what did you say? Also, I don't know if it's possible when doing glitch transitions and stuff, it would be great to be able to have the audio add automatically somehow. Yeah, so Colton, that's kind of where we're at right now, where the audio does add itself automatically. So as you can see on my magnify transition, if I drag my magnify transition down here, you can see that it drags an audio track as well. So that audio track you can either add or remove so that it already has it on that transition, as you can see. Cool. So that is definitely something that I'm thinking about when I'm making these, because I'm including audio as well. So let's get back to Magnify 2, and then I'll look at some of your questions. So what I do is delete that, right click, rename, and then go to, we have to ungroup it first. And then I can right click, rename, Magnify 2. So yes, going in here. So the fun thing is once I have a couple different layers of this effect, I can start to manipulate the keyframes that are already in there and see what it does as far as changing the position and stuff like that. So let's change this position down to the lower right hand side, and then let's go to this top one and change it to, do I want circles? No, I don't really want circles. Change this keyframe to down there, and let's make the first portion of it ease out. So we're gonna ease into that little tradition, but I'm going to change the position of this to the middle. So that effect just launched. And then I'm going to bring the first little glitch right here that we masked out. I'm going to bring that, let's see, where do I want that? Out here, and I'm going to change the feather. So it's kind of like a subtle effect. So I'm going to delete the mask. Yeah, so that's just doing some crazy stuff. And then I also noticed that this is a Bezier, so I'm going to hold that and see what happens. Cool, so that hold is being on there. We're going to drop it down at 125. And then for this one, I'm also going to start keyframing the position. So let's hold the keyframe on the position, go a couple frames, and then change it to over here. And then change it down a little bit, and then go to the beginning, and then see what happens. Cool, so adding this position keyframe change kind of adds a lot of dynamic motion to these clips. So I'm gonna go to that large one. Okay, that's down there. And keyframe the motion. And I'm gonna do one where I don't actually put hold on it and see what happens. Okay, so it kind of just runs across the screen, and I don't really like that aesthetic. So I'm gonna add a hold on it and see what it does. Cool. So this is magnify 2. Nice. I like what that's doing. So now I just have to add an audio source that would match that. So let's do this. All right, let's go to here. It needs to be more flickery, so I'm gonna copy this beginning portion to the middle. And I'm gonna drag this out and fade that in. All right, I like that. Nice. And then another thing that I can do on these magnify, I can add more adjustment layers if I want to. So going on, I can add the glitch, the grid overlay effects as well, but this pack will be designed for you to kind of make it however you want. So if I did create that grid overlay effects pack, then you could also double up these effects. So you have a magnify, and then you drop a glitch on there, you drop a grid overlay, then you already have 3 layers that you did drag and drop, and it's so easy. So Colton said, awesome, dude. Thanks for taking the time to answer my question. Keep it up. Love your content. Thanks for stopping by, Colton. I really appreciate it. Just having a lot of fun doing it. Gabriel says, Brazil, what's up? How's it going? Gus says, I just know these effects. I'm assuming you hoping that they're going to be awesome, because I do hope that they're awesome as well. It's just a very tedious process making these things. So I'm done with Magnify. So there we go. I'm going to go back into Premiere, and then we have Magnify 2. And then drag those on and see what happens. Cool. And then one thing that I'm doing is I'm constantly checking to make sure they will work. So I'm saving them and then importing them onto my MacBook, which is right here. And then with that, I can kind of double check to make sure my progress is being saved and it's working. So yeah, we have the grid, we have the magnify, we have some mosaics, and we have grid. So let's go ahead and make a grid. So I'm going to duplicate this just so I can start to get an idea of what everything's going to look like. So grid 1. And then double click on that grid, delete that middle thing, delete the audio. So ungroup it and go from there. And then remember, rename this to grid 1. Now we can start manipulating this effects pack. I'm going to delete all the magnifiers on there. And then go to the effects and type in grid. This should generate a grid on this image, and then we can start to manipulate this. So if you're just joining me or you're still watching, I would appreciate if you could give me some glitch effect ideas. Just anything that comes to your mind or stuff that you've seen that you would want in this pack. Please let me know in the chat now so then I can add that to this pack. So with this grid effect, I did a tutorial on it a while ago, but basically you can kind of choose what you want and how many pixels you want by these width and height sliders. And then from here you can like invert it, add borders, so then something like this, and then you can choose a blending mode. So multiply will take out a lot of the colors, but like a screen would add or take away all the black. So then I can use this grid as an overlay or like a glitchy effect. So what I'm gonna do is change this around a little bit. So let's go here with, and then I'm gonna go to hold, go to here, and then change it open a little bit, and then close this down to there and see what that looks like. Cool, so we're getting a nice little stuttery effect, and these are going to be important to have like just areas that it affects. And then I'll typically want all the effects to happen pretty fast, and then just kind of evaporate. Like I don't want them to be seen. Something like that. And then once I get something that I like, I'm going to adjust the area, maybe by the mask, so the mask path. So if I right click, and can you do hold on mask path? Nope. So if I do that, it just kind of jumps around like that. So yeah, we can just work on that and then add some mask opacities. I think you might be able to hold the mask opacity. So hold that, and then once I get to here, down to 0. So cool, we got a little fadeaway effect going on. I mean, the cool thing is I can copy this grid and then save all my data and then just manipulate these keyframes a little bit. And then it will allow us to get a custom effect. So I'm gonna go down here, manipulate that out there. Then I'm also going to manipulate these lines and drag them up a little bit. So see what we're getting now. Cool. And I'm also going to be able to playing around with changing the parameters to see what looks good and what doesn't look good, because as you know, it's very tedious. So a couple times I might just have something that I typically don't like for example, I don't like how the mask path is moving, so I'm just gonna bring this down to the bottom. All right, so I like that. So we have some grid stuff going on. I'm actually going to bring this in a little bit later. So that's kind of like a little flicker going on. And then I think I need one more grid, maybe at the top right, or like just kind of encapsulating the entire effect. So I'm going to delete my mask, and then I'm going to make a new one that's kind of a little bit bigger. I'm going to drop that down here, and then start manipulating these keyframes. Start dragging. I typically always just drag them around in ridiculous areas, and then I change the numbers around. So like, let's do 150. Let's go down to the bottom one and change this to 100, just to see what it does. Because honestly, this effect is all about playing with different. So let's do a 4. Playing with different looks and seeing what works and seeing what doesn't work. So let's play that. Cool. So right there, that's like a little stutter effect, grid going on. And typically, I won't add any audio on these grid layers because I don't think they need them. So right there, just like that, I finished up one grid layer. And then I can go in here even more if I wanted to and adjust what I want these to look like. So I can change 1 to 50% to create some depth in my grid layers. So I like what that is looking like. And yeah, just right click, group those, and then my first grid is done. And then I'll be sure to go back to my effect and test this on my test sequence and drag my grid on just like that. And as you can see, just with the click of a switch, I have a grid effect going on. And the reason why this is awesome is because I can overlay these effects. So now I can have the magnify effect as well and the grid effect. And just like that, we have created 2 little things. And the fun thing is the magnify effect will actually manipulate the grid effect as well, as you can see right here. So this is the coolest thing about this pack, is that it will allow you to adjust everything and manipulate your images in ways that you didn't think was possible. So this is kind of like what I'm working for. So right now, since I'm working on the grid, let me know what you want to see in this grid, like maybe some more more color, or not more colors, but more like more squares, more rectangles, or larger grid things, smaller grid things, whatever you want. So let's see. Antonin says you should do RGB transitions. So yeah, that's definitely something that I'm working on. I currently have some in my color channel blur folder. Let's see if I have any of them ready. So yeah, they're kind of like this, where they're like this, blurring the color channels. So it's something that I'm like working on, as far as making them unique and making them better. I'm kind of going through all my old stuff, but I definitely do agree. I'm going to be doing that in the glitch. So let me add a bin. RGB, because that would follow under glitch. And then one of the effects that I think, let me name this too. And then one of the effects that I think would work best is VR digital glitch. And if I go into here, and let me just delete that and go to the effects tab and delete all the grids. Let me go to the effects and type on VR digital glitch. So this right away kind of adds this little digital glitch. And if I go to the effects controls and where do I go? Distortion, and change the color. Okay, so that manipulates my color. And then drag the geometry X down to 0, geometry complexity down to 0. And then the distortion rate can manipulate a lot of stuff, but drag it all the way to 0. Then I can start to manipulate the color evolution, stuff like that. And I think something over here on the right side, if I apply alpha adjust, I think I can avoid the edges if I go in here and ignore alpha, or invert alpha, mask only. Nope. Well, I know I can on other things, so I'll keep manipulating that. But this is where you can get some edges that are kind of like fake RGB, where you can like create these RGB transitions without actually having the RGB glitch going on. But this is what you can apply. So maybe I have an area that allows you to keyframe these from like 0 to 100, back down to 0. Obviously, this is a really crappy example, but I ease out, I do a Bezier, and then I ease in. So then instantly on your clip, you can do a quick little RGB transition. And this is only blue and red and yellow. So I'm going to be working on a way, because the problem is like when you do RGB transitions, you have to create layers, and like red, green, blue layers. And if you can't necessarily drag and drop those layers, because it's kind of like it just doesn't work. I just noticed I'm slouching a lot, so I'm going to try to stand up a little bit. But so you can't create these layers. So this is what I'm kind of like working with, is workarounds on how I can create different layers. And I'm also going to speed ramp these color distortion, because I think it looks better if you speed ramp it. So that looks good. Nice. It's so subtle you can barely tell that it's happening, but I like it. And then let's just play around in here and see what happens. So like color distortion, X, Y, evolution. Okay, so evolution changes something. I thought this was like giving us like something earlier where POI aspect, POI scale. Okay, so that does something where it like changes the scale of things. But yeah, what was the thing under distortion? Because wasn't it this stuff? Distortion complexity. Oh, here we go. Distortion rate. And then I can change like what distortion is happening. Okay, so maybe this is like a distortion transition. So instead of RGB, This is like distortion. All right, and then I have a distortion 1. So K Cool says, what do you recommend? I want to start my YouTube channel making videos for companies, real estate commercials. Should I use my own name as a brand or a better username? It kind of depends. I kind of use my own name. I put my company like in my name as Kyler Holland Media, and then I just kind of grew my name as my brand. But you could do like I don't know, like Smart Images, you know, Smart Images Production, something like that. Because sometimes that will give you like it's a company, but since my company was myself, I just kind of felt that my name was fitting. So definitely think about that when you are working. But the biggest thing is just to start now and start creating something. So let's see. Victor says Salve BR or Salve BR. Don't really know what that means, but appreciate the support. Colton says, I second guess Gus' suggestions on the RGB split kind of stuff. Yeah, like Colton, adding that RGB split on the grid would be so cool. So for example, since I got one of these distortions, oh, I have to rename this, by the way, to distortion 1 and add a cut. And then I can go to my test clips and then drag on a grid. And then I can add that distortion one that I just made. And as you can see, that distortion is already manipulating our grid like crazy. So something like that. That is pretty freaking cool for a little short transition. Again, I'm not done with the distortion because I need to keyframe the complexities going on here. So let's go to the beginning, change it to 0. The geometry Y, change that to 0. Let's go to the beginning, change it to 0. And Z, also change that to 0. And bump that up. And then reset all of these parameters. Well, we have to go back down to 0. And drag those out. So let's look like this. So there we go. We got a little distortion going on. I'm also going to adjust on distortion complexity. Yeah, because that seems to adjust a lot of it. So 50 kind of is in the middle. And then back down to 1. So I throw a Bezier on this middle, go into distortion complexity, and something like that. Create like a little speed ramp. Let's see what this looks like. I keep forgetting to switch the cam. Cool, so that's like getting there, and I might even be able to, yep, I can custom this VR digital glitch to make a mask and kind of make this affect only a certain area. So I can do a mask like that. And this is something that I want to make known in this pack, that all this stuff will be completely modifiable. So if you want something and you want to change it up a little bit, be my guest. Like, just drag it down. As long as you don't manipulate the actual file by double clicking on it and manipulating the file, then you'll be fine. But if you want to adjust a mask to make it fit on a certain area, you can do that and create this like custom like distorted look based on your image. That would be something that you could do. So I like that. I'm gonna actually undo that mask that I just did. I'm gonna make this in the center. Yeah, and then go from there. And then now I have another idea to add some distortion. Ryan Willis said, "Saw dude, where's the Buckathon video?" The Buckathon video is complete. I sent it off to them 2 days ago, and they're showing their higher ups, and they just have to get the approval process. But it is sick. It is so awesome, and I'm really excited for them to release that, because I literally spent close to 20 hours editing that. So it's pretty crazy. All right, so let's continue working. Let's make another distortion. And name this distortion 2. Go into distortion, delete that, rename it to distortion 2, and then go to the effects and see what we're working with. So that time we had a mask. Let's delete that mask, and let's see how distorted we can make this look. Let's drag this around. Let's drag that out to there. Let's drag this guy to there. And let's see what like the transform does. scale X and Y. Okay, so this already is like doing some craziness. Noise. So we can add noise in there if we want to. Subsetting, sub-influence. I don't even know what these things do. Oh, sub-scaling. I like that. So let's add it to 90. Go back to this beginning, down to 0. Yeah, so that scaling thing just kind of like made it like large. I wish there was a way to chunk it up even a little bit more. POI scale. So that's what's working. POI aspect. Because we have distortion, we have the noise strength. Okay, there's the noise. What if we drive the crane and put the noise quantity down? Oh no, the noise scale. Okay, cool. So now we got some noise, but the noise looks like that, and I don't like that. Color noise. Yeah, I don't like that. Noise evolution just kind of adds a little, like a fake random seed. Okay, so yeah, I don't like noise. I'm not gonna use noise. So yeah, this is what we got for distortion too. And then we can change the RGB distortion. And let's go something like this where we hold. Cool. So now we got a little distortion going on. So that's distortion 2. Let's go create another one for distortion 3. And I think these distortion ones are going to be awesome for like if you have a grid overlay and like the magnify glitch and then like a distortion. You'll get like a really complex transition. Like I may have to render this. Yeah, let me render this real quick so it doesn't like freak out. Colton says, I may have missed it at the beginning. Oh my goodness, that is so cool. Yo, look at that. Oh my gosh. Like just, this is getting so complex already. Like the fact that I just made these things and then combining them makes it incredible. That is so cool. All right, well, I know now that using these in collaboration together, it would really work. So let me jump back to this so you can see it. That is insane. All right, so Colton said, I may have missed this at the beginning, but did you discuss how you would set up the folders? I don't know how you pull down presets like that, haha. So I can make some presets. Yeah, I made a video on my channel. You just got to look it up. It's called New Effect Workflow. So that'll help you. Because this looks more intricate than just saving effects presets. Yeah, this is a little bit more intricate. There's like layers upon layers that make this possible, and it just kind of gets very complex. But I'm really happy that this is already like starting to work like crazy. Cool. So I may add something that says with sound, like plus sound, just so I know like what effects have sound on them. Because then you'll know which ones have sound and which ones don't have sound. Okay, so let's make a couple more distortions. Distortion, let's label this iris so it all matches. And then let's duplicate this layer and name it distortion 3. So for this one, I'm gonna right click, rename, and call it distortion 3. And then I kind of want it to be a little bit more focused on not RGB. So maybe we'll keyframe that color distortion, leave it at 0, and kind of just focus on this little like profile of this crazy geometry going on. Let's go to hold. And then go to there. Hold. So it kind of looks like we have 2 eyeballs. So I wonder if I can change that in the POI. Okay, so POI scale. Hold that, scale it up. Let's see what this does. Well, that's kind of like it starts in the center and it just, I like that. Yeah, that's pretty cool. So let's see if we can soften up these edges. POI aspect. Ooh, now we actually got eyeballs. Cool, so that's distortion 3. I like that. And let's make another one and then continue on. Again, I'm gonna test this from the beginning. So distortion 3. And let's see what that looks like with a magnify 1. Ooh, this effect requires GPU acceleration. Which effect? The VR digital glitch? What? I have VR distortion 3. Maybe it just didn't like the way I was layering it. So that would be something to think about, but okay. Let's duplicate that and go to distortion 4. And yeah, open that guy up and see what happens. So we got a few people in here right now. I'm probably going to end the live stream, but basically this is just kind of showing you the workflow that I'm doing to create this effects pack. Hopefully I can get this done in the next, let's say, 2-3 weeks, maybe a month max. And then I'll create a launch video, and that launch video will kind of go over everything that I'm creating in this pack and get everyone hyped for it to make everything drag and drop. So again, if you tuned in a little bit late, let me know in the comments down below what you want in this pack and I'll be sure to include it. But for now, I'm just gonna continue working and get some ideas. So thanks everyone for stopping by and listening. I'm really excited and I'll be sure to read your comments and get back to as many of them as I can. Peace.